I'm Nelson from Nail Media, and I would like to welcome you to another video on the Nail Media channel. Today I'd like to talk to you about comparing different, most of them free, different cache plugin that we can use for WordPress. Of course, cache will allow us to make the website run faster, have a better quality, and of course that will help us ranking as well with Google. Just before that, consider clicking on the little button below the video to subscribe to the channel. That will alert you when there are new videos for email and things like that. And there's a little bell just beside it on the right of it. I would consider to click on that as well so that you will get notified when there's new video. You will have a little pop-up at the top right of your YouTube screen that will tell you that there's a new video there. So please consider doing that if you like this video. So first of all, I'm going to show you what I did. I just use a new website, totally new website with Astra, the Astra theme. I used the free version, and I also installed a free theme, a free template that comes with it. This is the one of the WooCommerce one. So this is a website with a lot of stuff on it, a lot of images, and that's exactly why I used that one. To show you the difference. I'm using really cheap web hosting that I've bought from a company not too long ago, just to do my test. It was something like about $60 for a lifetime license. So really good offer there. So probably not the fastest website, web hosting there, but I just want to show you the difference between them. So I want to do in live all the testing because I've already tested them, and I'm going to show you the result on GTMetrix and Pingdom to show you the difference between each of them. So here's a list of the different plugins that I will test. So of course I have some plugins already installed, which is to make the site running. I'm going to test Auto-Optimize, Comet Cache, Fast Velocity Minify, Simple Cache, Swift Performance Lite. Viper Cache is a paid one, and I'm going to test that one at the end. Total Cache, Fastest Cache, and Super Cache. Of course, there are a bunch of others. They are new coming really regularly, but these are probably the most popular one. Of course, there are some paid as well, or some of them have a free version and a pro version. So I'm sticking with the free version, except for Viper Cache, which is the one that I've bought about a year ago. And I'm just going to show you the difference. So let's start first of all with the result of GTMetrix without any plugin or cache plugin installed. So as you can see, a score of A and B on YSlow is pretty good, to be honest. Astra is a well-performant theme, so they did a really good job with that one. So 2.8 seconds, I will not check that because, of course, each time that we load it depends on when we load it and the day, depends on how many times we load it. So I will not really check the loading time, but the page score will be pretty interesting. The page size and the number of requests as well. So these are the three things that we're going to check together. So we go from 92 and 80, and we have 1 megabyte for the total page size and 74 requests. So this is our base without any cache plugin installed. And if I take a look at the Pingdom one, as you can see, we have a performance grade of 77, which is not too bad considering there's no cache plugin enabled. Same amount of requests and same size, which is not always the same between the GTMetrix and Pingdom, but in this particular case it is. So let's try with the first one, which is simply Auto-Optimize. And again, I won't activate them and do all the testing because I've already done that previously. So sometimes I might just activate them to show you the maybe the how easy they are to use. In the case of Auto-Optimize, when you activate it, it will not do anything right away, okay? So let me see. The settings for auto-optimize are right here. And by the way, I did do the testing. You might see that I have Shortpixel activated there as well. It's going to be later on. I'm going to show you the difference with image compression. But of the first test, a few tests that I didn't use those. Okay. So if I go to auto-optimize, you see that these options are activated simply because I have activated previously. But they will not be activated by default. So you must come here and activate those. It's really important. This is why we have all the code minimize. Okay. Of course, you need to make sure that the site is still working good. In the extra also, in my particular case, I have enabled many options. So the optimize image on the fly was activated, remove emoji and query string as well. Okay, those options were activated when I did my test. There are also some advanced settings here that I didn't enable. Okay, so again, I could activate. This is not a good thing to activate, by the way, but I didn't test the others, so I would have to check them to see whether it's better to have them enabled or not. But anyway, these are the settings that I've used, and here's the end result that I had. So I went from 92 and 80 without any cache plugin to 96 and 89. So pretty good increase just by having this plugin enabled. I went from 1 megabyte to 958, so not a big difference here, but from 74 to 50 requests, which is again good. If I take a look at my Pingdom here, went from C to B, so 88 is the new grade, and again 50 requests here. The second one that I've tested is called Comet Cache. This one I've changed names many times over the past few years, by the way. It was Zcache at some point, and don't remember the name of the when I first started to use it. So anyway, now it's called Comet Cache. And again, this one is not enabled by default. You need to come here and enable it. And I personally, in my test, have added the cache client side as well, which is set to no by default, and have activated it, and the gzip compression as well. Okay, and then of course you need to change. And by the way, each and every time I was opening a new window, a new incognito window to load the page to make sure that it was cached, because some plugin will automatically cache it. Others, you will need to visit the site at least once. So that's why I did that each and every time. So let's see the results for our Comet Cache. And this one was pretty disappointing, to be honest. As you can see, no difference at all in with or without the plugin activated. So slight difference in load time, but again, it will change every time you load the page. So it's not a real statistic here. So exactly the same grade score. Same thing for Pingdom. You see we went from 77 to 79, so a small increase, but same number of requests and same page size. So this one was not really concluding. The next one that I tested is Fast Velocity Minify. So this is another minification, just like Auto-Optimize. And here are the settings. I didn't really change any of those settings. I used the default one because most of them are disabling minification or things like that, so you don't want to do that. Just in case your site is different, of course, you always need to test to make sure that your site looks the same, because sometimes if JavaScript is not loaded, for example, or some CSS are not minified the right way, then your site might be broken. So always do some testing after activating an option. But in this case, I've used the default one. So let's see the results. And the results here are really higher on YSlow, but a little bit lower on the GTmetrix, on the page per speed score. It was 96 with Auto-Optimize. So Auto-Optimize had a better score here, but it was 89 for YSlow. So this one is better on this part. 48 requests, the other one was 50. but still a lot lower than, of course, our default 74. And that's a good thing, by the way. I don't know if you know about request, but request is the number of times it requests a page, for example, a script if you have a lot of plugins, or can be an external CSS file and so on. So at times it requests another file, an external images, all of that will increase the load time as well. So the lower the number of requests, the better it is, of course. So let's see. So the tools Pingdom give us approximately the same thing, now a B grade, and of course 48 requests as well. Now the next one is Simple Cache. And again, Simple Cache, one of its strengths is that you don't have to configure a lot of options. Some of them, for example, W3 Total Cache, you need to configure a lot of things manually, so they're in certain way more flexible, but at the same time more advanced, not for necessarily the new users of WordPress or cache plugin. So far, by the way, at the same time, all the plugins that I've shown you, they don't offer the option to, let's say, remove some files from caching. For example, like I said, if you are testing and your site is broken, it might be because one JavaScript file don't need to, or must not, I should say, be minified, okay, or unified with other JavaScript files. Okay, so then you can come and specify that this file, okay, don't minify it. So all of the plugins that we had so far don't offer that option. Some will later on. Again, Simple Cache, you need to turn on caching right there because it's not by default. If you just enable the plugin, it will not be activated by default. So if you come here, then in the options, you see that now it is turned on. Okay, you can enable compression. So I didn't in my test. I forgot to add that. This would probably help to have a better test. Okay, and you also have an advanced mode here that I didn't turn on. So again, gzip compression, a couple of other options, but not that much. Okay, so let's go with the result. And again, Simple Cache, just like the other one, Commit Cache, didn't do any difference as opposed to the original one, not cached at all. Same amount of requests, same page score. So again, it was really disappointed by this Simple Cache plugin. Again, probably if I had enabled compression, it would have increased a little bit, but surely not as much as the other plugin that I've tested. So Pingdom, same thing, so I won't take the time to show that one. A newcomer on that list for me that is probably I've not been out for so long, less popular than the others because probably it's more recent, is the Swift Performance Lite one. Of course, there's a pro version for this one as well, which is pretty expensive, to be honest. Too expensive for me anyway. But the free version gives us really a good optimization. In fact, this is the one that gives us the most optimization. When you enable it the first time, it's not the case here because I've already opened it. But if I go to my settings, let's see, it's in tools in this particular case. Yeah, some are in settings, some are in tools. So if I go to my settings, I'm going to use the setup wizard. So this is the wizard that will appear the first time that you enable the plugin. So you can configure it manually yourself, of course, if you want to, but I've used the auto config that should anyway use the best configuration. And I have added one setting to this one. Let me go back to my settings here. So in the settings, I have enabled one more thing that was not enabled by default, and I think it was in tweaks. Let me just find it. Optimization here. Yeah, minify HTML wasn't enabled by default, so I have enabled that option. All the others, I use the default settings. Okay, and here are the results that I got on GTMetrix. So honestly, this is the best one that I had overall. So 96 was the same percentage that I got with Auto-Optimize, but the Y-Slow score was pretty low. And as you can see here, 23 requests. That's the lowest one that I've got. Really, really low, 23 requests. So 780 kilobytes instead of 1 megabyte. So really, really the best result that I had with this plugin. Okay, 96, 92. So the only thing is optimize image, and again I'm going to show you the result with my Shortpixel later on for that one. If I show you the Pingdom result for that one, pretty similar. Again, 90, that's the best one so far, and it will be the best one to be honest. And 23 requests, that helps a lot. Okay. By the way, I'm looking at the settings here, and I think that maybe it was doing it, I think, with the auto-optimize configuration, but I see now that Minify HTML wasn't enabled by default. But here I can see that my scripts were not enabled as well, but I think they were when I used the auto configuration. So you need to merge the script and minify the JavaScript, and same thing for CSS. So they're not turned on right now, but when I did my testing, they were, okay? And you need to have that as well. As you can see here, I have the basic minify, by the way, and the full minification is available only in the Pro feature. So again, if you pay for it, it will be even better. Next one is the W3 Total Cache. This one is has the most amount of configuration that you can have, but it is a good and a bad thing at the same time. Of course, if you know what you're doing, you might be happy that you have more tweaks, but if you don't know what you're doing, then you will probably not get the most of that plugin. So if I go in general settings, for example, a lot of things are not enabled by default, as you can see. So the cache, the page cache is not enabled, the minification is not enabled. You need to enable all of that, database cache and object cache, browser cache, all of that needs to be enabled. And of course, if you have a CDN, then you can enable that as well. So all of those were enabled, and then you can go, once you have enabled something, let's say for example you enable the minify, then you can come here and tweak that. Personally, I have went into just the general settings and enabled all of those elements. I should have come here probably and then enable different elements. So JavaScript and CSS were enabled by default, but not HTML. So I might have got a little better result if I had enabled those. But then again, this is one plugin that offers a lot of configuration, but could be a little bit daunting if you don't know what you're doing, first of all. Secondly, the fact that you can have more power could be a good thing, in the sense, like I specified, that you can say that for some pages, for example, if you have a membership page or a commerce page, you might want to say that some pages are not cache, or some JavaScript or CSS files are not cache. So this one gives you that power. So if you need those elements, it could be the best one for you. But again, you need to know where you are going. So let's see what the result that we got with the default settings. And like I said, I have enabled all the elements. So I had a 93 and 88. Not the best one. Okay, Swift was way better. And even Auto-Optimize had a better page speed score. Only 20 requests lower than without any plugin. So not the best result. Again, if I went into all the settings and tweaked them all one by one, I will surely have a better result. But not sure it will go as far as being as equal to the Swift plugin. So you might have a different opinion. Don't worry, don't hesitate to put comments below, by the way. But these are the results that I got personally. Pingdom would be this one. So again, 54 requests, not excellent. Performance grade 90, that's good. So Not the worst one, not the best one, but again, if you want to have more control, then this is probably the one that gives you the most control over your elements. Next, WP fastest cache. This one was good, honestly, was better than anticipated. But again, you need to come here and activate a lot of options. For example, cache system is not even enabled by default. So you want to enable few things. In my case, I have just preloaded the home page because that's the one that I tested, but you might want to preload everything, of course. Don't check everything, by the way, because there are things that are not good. So don't do that, or don't do that. Not necessarily good. So personally, I have minified HTML, CSS, combined CSS, and JavaScript, enable gzip, browser caching, disable emojis, and of course those as well. So these are the settings that I add when I did my testing. I didn't go inside the delete cache, of course. Image optimization here, but only available in the premium version. So these are the changes that I did on my side when I did my testing. So here's the result on GTMetrix. So 93. So if I take a look at the Pingdom statistics, same thing, 81 here, and the highest one that we had was 90, and still 64 requests, so only 10 less than the original without any caching plugin. Next one is WP Super Cache. This one is, I think that's the one that is recommended by WordPress when we load the add new plugin. These are inside one of the few. Let's see. I don't want to say anything. Okay, it's not there anymore, but it used to go there into the recommended, I think. Not the feature anymore. But let's see. Light speed is there. I tested it, but it was saying that something needed to be activated on your server, so that's why I didn't use it. So it looks like it's not there anymore, but anyway. Again, this one, as you can see, is not activated by default, so you need to go to the plugin, activate it, enable, in other words, the cache. And you have some other different settings as well. Most of the things you simply need to enable it, and all the settings are not necessarily don't necessarily need to change them. Sorry, looking for my words here. Okay, so most of them is don't do that, don't do that. Okay, so this is one of the easy one where you don't need to do anything except enable it, and of course you can test to make sure that the cache is activated. So results, here's my result here. So again, as you can see, original one with cache. So no difference at all in this case. Again, 74 requests. So I was really surprised in this particular case, because this is one of the few that were recommended at least a few months ago. So was really disappointed by this one as well. We have seen three ones: Comet Cache, this one, and which other one was the Simple Cache. Here it is. All of those three didn't make any difference at all. So was pretty surprised there. Finally, I tested the paid one, which is Viper Cache. This one is a paid one. It's a yearly fee. So I wanted to compare it with the other ones. And when I tested it with my sites before buying it, or just after anyway, I had pretty good results, to be honest. But as you will see, finally, the free one, Swift Cache, is really the best one. So let me just show you the results that I had here. So 91 is not the best one. As opposed, it's even lower here. So I wondered here, some bad requests and minimized redirect that we have here. That was pretty strange. So probably a couple of tweaks that I need to do there. But all the rest was lower down, okay? And the was low score is better also. But then again, it's not as good as what we had with Swift Performance. Sometimes we can combine them. For example, Fast Cache, I didn't try it, but Auto Optimize, it's a minification plugin, so you can mix it with other plugins. You might have warning, but if you target the right things, then it will work. Just a little last note. I did the same test as before with Swift, because that was the best one that I had. But I added, as you saw in my settings, I added the Shortpixel optimization for the images. So I have optimized all my images and redid the same test again. So the results are here. So here are my result without any plugin. These are my result with Swift Cache, which was the best one. So 96, 92, 23 requests. And the same result with Swift, but also Shortpixel. And as you can see here, slight, not a big difference, but slight one here, 96 to 97. But 2 less requests, and the page size is the biggest difference here, as you can see, from 779 to 581. Okay, and I can optimize other image as well, reduce some of the larger ones as well again. So I could probably reach 99 or 90, 100%, probably near that. Why slow, by the way, most of the time, just CDN. This is what lowers my score. So by using a CDN, then I would probably be able to get 99 to 100 again there. Pingdom here is without just Swift alone, and with the optimization here, I've moved 1 point more and 2 less requests again. So best combination: optimize your image, WP Smush, Shortpixel, or any other, and use a cache plugin, of course. So according to my result, the best one was the Swift Performance Lite. So hope you enjoyed that video. If you found that helpful, please share it. Other people will find it helpful as well. And again, don't forget to subscribe and to like the video if you have liked it. So have a good day and see you soon.